Have you ever watched those, world birth and death clocks? Um, Initially, I stumbled upon it by accident, and I thought, "Oh, this is interesting." Well, first of all, it's not completely accurate because what I believe they're doing is they are basing it off of a estimated census. So it's not like every time a birth or a death gets recorded, it's like being cued into the system. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a estimated thing. But nonetheless, it's supposed to be pretty accurate, right? So I look at that and, if you look, it's like births are going so fast that you can't even, the numbers are going so fast that you can't even fully process, that last digit before it goes to the next. It's not even a full second. It's like, I don't know the exact number, but it's a fraction of a second. And death is maybe a little over a second. It goes slow enough that you can actually process the numbers. You just see how fast the birth versus the death goes. I mean, that is just, to me, it's alarming. To me, it's depressing. In fact, today I found something on the news about the births of 2023 and how, to welcome, the children of 2023 and all that. And, we're hitting 8 billion people globally. That is roughly 35 times more people for the earth to be healthy, for the earth to be and stay healthy and not get overwhelmed by the pollution that we create. That is roughly 35, give or take a few, times more than there should be humans on this planet, for the planet to be strong and healthy and unaffected by humans. You can batter around all you want about how to lessen the pollution, but at the end of the day, there are things that you just cannot work around. There are things that, especially radioactive things, that just don't disappear, that stay in the earth forever, basically, or almost forever. I mean, that are very difficult to safely break down and have to be held in chambers, special chambers. It's the amount of things that you can do, they do help. Of course they do. Anything that you can do helps. But when you've got 8 fucking billion people and counting, just a decade ago, I think it was 6 billion or something. When you've got that many people populating and overpopulating so rapidly, there's nothing, no amount of what you do is going to fix the damage you cause, because there's just simply too many of you. Even with animals species that, typically would cause far less damage than a human, even an animal like that tends to not cause a problem even in large numbers, even if they get overpopulated, they kill off entire ecosystems, let alone a human, which is the most destructive, species on the planet. Okay? If it's up to me, I'd say that our species shouldn't be, even existing in such vast, I mean, I say 35 times less for the earth to be strong and balanced. But I honestly think it should be even less than that. And when you cut that down, what was the number? What does that? I'm not too good on numbers as how much more this is or less this is, but in my opinion, I know this wouldn't work. I know you probably at least have to have like 800 million or something to, get things done, run the economy, stuff like that. But in my honest opinion, I would prefer only a couple million people worldwide. I would. But I just know that even if you could do that, that's, you know, not very plausible, that you would have enough people to run things and enough, you know, just to keep stuff going. But honestly, you know, a long time ago, it could be like that. A long time ago, you know, people just lived out in caves and tents, and there was nothing that you needed to keep running, because you just kind of, you're self-sufficient, just like everything else in nature. You got your own food, you got your own water, you got your own resources, you got your own shelter, and you cause a lot less damage if you live the way that we lived a long time ago. And you'd be able to self-sustain, so it wouldn't matter how small your numbers got, because, you know, just 3 people living out in the forest could fend for themselves and could totally 100% take care of themselves. But because that the way that we live now is almost impossible to be, it would be almost impossible to shift to that. You'd have to keep at least, you know, 800 million people just to keep stuff running, you know, because right now almost no one can be self-sufficient, truly self-sufficient, and that's including no electricity and all that, but it's also including, you know, that you're not building houses, and you're just existing among nature. And people who hike and backpack and things like that, you know, they have to come into town still to get supplies, so that doesn't count either. I'm talking about 100% self-sufficient. Very few people know how to do that, you know, and it's typically the people who are already living that lifestyle in a very, very, very remote part of the earth. The rest of us, you know, have forgotten how to do it. But that's beyond my point, okay? That's what's way beyond my point here is that everyone says it like it's supposed to be a good thing, you know, that we're supposed to be, you know, or if not good, just a neutral thing, that this population has grown to 8 billion people worldwide. And no one is focusing on the fact that we've already done so much damage to the earth that some of it may not be reversible. Just imagine if you have the population growing so fast. I mean, at this rate, we probably have 25 billion people in just another generation from now, maybe even just a few decades from now, depending on how vastly out of control. You think about this, if, you know, everyone's having the same amount of children, but instead of there being, say, 5 billion or 4 billion, now there's suddenly 8 billion. And so even though every individual family may be having the same children, even maybe less children, you have to account for, you know, there's double the families. And so that's gonna be even faster, that the population gets out of control, even if not many people decide to have more children than normal. Even if everyone has the same amount of children they've always had, it's still, because there's so many people. Seriously, right now, there should be a limit to how many children you choose to have. Now, I understand if it's on accident, I totally understand. And if, you know, there's laws against something that, honestly, I'm not going to go into abortion and things, because I feel like I'm torn on that anyway. I feel like, you know, that's not the real issue. The real issue is preventing it in the first place. And I understand that a lot of people don't have access to birth control. A lot of people aren't perfect human beings and make mistakes. I totally understand that. And I'm not saying get rid of the mistakes. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying don't have a child on purpose. That's what I'm saying. Because I can forgive and, you know, somebody that raises a child just because they accidentally had a child. Don't try to have even one copy of yourself, much less 10 or 12, okay? Don't have children on purpose. Stop having children on purpose, okay? Maybe, every once in a while, maybe, you could have one on purpose. If the population goes down. But right now, the population is so dense that it'd be better if no one, you know how many accidental children there are? You know, and how many children get unfairly pushed into the system because people don't want. If we would just stop having children on purpose, all these children would find homes very quickly. And they'd actually feel like they belong somewhere at a very young age, and they wouldn't be pushed through the system their whole lives. The real solution is not to, in my personal opinion, the real solution is not to get rid of accident children, and is not to, force people to be perfect human beings. It's just to stop having children on purpose, especially if it's more than one. Especially then. Because if it's more than one, at that point, you are flat out selfish. You already got one child, and that's all. So anybody, no one even needs that. But really, if you do have a child, that's all you need is one. And you're thinking about your family only. If you have more than one child, you're thinking about you and your family only. If you really, really want to have children, why does it have to be hereditarily yours? Because isn't the true purpose of having a child to raise it and take care of it, I mean, why can't you just adopt? I mean, what is so... I tell you why. Arrogance. Pride and arrogance. There's no space for that in this world. And you're trying to make space for your pride and your arrogance. Just fucking adopt. Instead of saying, I need a child that has my DNA, just fucking adopt. Then all these people that bring forth the children that they had on accident say, I can't take care of this child for whatever reason, financial, whatever, or I don't think I'd make a good whatever it is. Not judging you, but those people who take those children to the adoption centres, there'd already be parents waiting in line who really, really, really want a child. And who cares if it's not your own DNA? Who fucking cares? It's a child. They will grow the same way. They will give you love back in the same way you give it to them. It's because it's not your own flesh and blood. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. And so not only would it fix the population issue, but it would fix this unjust that is happening in children who never get adopted. It would fix all of that. It's just, and I'm not saying that you couldn't ever have a child on purpose. I'm saying in parts of the world that are overpopulated, I don't think you should. But maybe parts of the world that are less populated and need children, I think you should be allowed to have at least one. But I don't think you should go crazy with it either. I think there should be a limit even in those places. No one's gonna fucking listen to me, but that's just what I believe.